Good evening. NHS staff and other key workers say they've been left with no choice but to rely on food banks because of the soaring cost of living. They're among more than 15,000 families using just one community pantry in Gillingham routinely.
Figures today from the Consumer Price Index show food inflation is now at a 45-year high. Meanwhile, our own analysis has found a basket of shopping ranging from meats to butter to frozen food can now cost as much as £3.60 more for the same items compared to a year ago. And it can be up to 14% more depending on where you shop.
Well, supermarkets say they're doing everything they can to provide great value for customers, but one consumer expert says they could be doing a lot more. And farmers say they are being pushed out. Joe Caution has this special report.
Families patiently waiting in line in their dozens every morning, sometimes for over an hour, to fill up their bags with free food and drink at a food bank. This is an increasingly common occurrence in the southeast in 2023 because of the cost of living. Among the queues, students, pensioners, council staff and people in full-time jobs, like Michelle, who works for the NHS.
I mean, I work and still struggle. I'm not just going to go on about the NHS, but the NHS do a hard job. And if you want to have anything in life, you've got to sacrifice something else. Like, you shouldn't have to do that, really, when you're working around the clock. But that's the way it is.
My family are 2 adults, 3 kids. We've been using it for about a year. Cash flow's been really hard. My husband works for himself. He retrained during lockdown, completely changed industries. Although we have child benefit and we have other things, it's a great stopgap in between to support.
If this wasn't here, I don't know, I think there'd be a lot of people struggling, man, like in the local area. Veg, your eggs and normal stuff that you'd go and do for £20, £30 on, some people have got like 4 or 5 children and they can't afford to keep going out and doing that all the time now, can they? Do you know what I mean?
This food bank, 16,500 people came through here last month, and it's almost like a community service.
And an in-demand one, which Neil wants to keep accessible for everyone. Unlike most food banks, you're not referred to Gillingham Street Angels and don't have to prove your need.
I think the first guy kind of probably had a food bank, a religious figure who fed 5,000 people. No one had to take a bank statement. They just turned up, they got fed. And that's what I want to be like. This isn't about proving you're poor. Mental health is shocking at the moment. People are struggling. I don't want to add to that. I just want people to come along, get some food, they go home, they're happy. But it's not you're sitting in a queue with your head down thinking, oh my God, someone might see me, I'm using a food bank. Now it's, hello mate, how are you? What you're up to today? And they become friends. You make friends, it gets people out of the house. I think there is a lot of useful parts that have come out of this, but it's still sad that many people need support.
Meanwhile, analysis by ITV News Meridian has found the cost of your food shop continues to increase, even among the own brand items. We purchased a basket of goods from 3 supermarkets in August, and we bought the same identical items again 8 months on. At Tesco, the total price of the 26 items in August was £30.64. This week, it was £33.13, the smallest rise, though, of 8%. At Asda, the same shop cost nearly £28.50 last summer, rising to over £31 this month, a 9% increase. Aldi remained the cheapest supermarket in our test, the initial basket costing £25.65, but it had the biggest increase of all 3, jumping 14% to over £29 this week. Supermarkets say they're doing everything they can to reduce cost pressures on households. And our research shows, to some extent, they are. During our second shop, we also purchased new, cheaper alternatives where possible, reducing the total cost on all 3 shops and even making the price of our basket slightly less than it was in August in Asda and Tesco. The cheapest price on a pack of ham was down to less than £1 in both of those shops. A loaf of bread could be picked up for 30p less than we paid in August. And a tin of peaches was more than half the price of the own brand product we bought last time. But one consumer expert says finding the cheapest alternatives isn't always easy.
Yeah, there are these cheap budget ranges at supermarkets, which are fantastic if you can get access to them. So if you rely on a local corner shop, a convenience store, often only the more expensive items are in stock there. And then it's a complete lottery as to day, will you be able to get the cheapest options? And so we think that supermarkets need to do more. They should be making sure that the affordable, healthy food is in the shops where people are actually doing their shopping, the convenience stores, but also that it's a healthy food and not just, buy one get one free on crisps and pop.
A potential money saver for customers then, but at what cost? Here in Horsham, the Vice Chair of the National Farmers Union says short-term attempts by supermarkets to drive down prices is crippling local producers.
All the fertiliser I bought last summer is being used to grow crops this spring, and I'll be selling those the wheat that they will grow for the next 12 months. So our cost of production went up massively last year, and it's going to carry on through our food systems for some time to come. When everything's really focused on the short term, it's really hard for farmers to adjust and have confidence to invest and do the things they need to do to keep growing food. So naturally, many people, if they can't see a return long term, they won't bother producing. And you've seen them empty shelves. That's what that's all about. The risk has gone up, the rewards aren't there, people will walk away.
We absolutely work closely with our suppliers, and British agriculture is really important. There is sometimes a premium.
It's a delicate balancing act, one supermarket chief tells me, keeping costs down for customers without abandoning British farmers.
As long as you're clear with your customer base about where you do make different choices. It's about choices for customers to overcome a really quite challenging inflationary environment at this moment in time.
How can it be, though, a customer can pay £3 or so more one week to the next for the same items because the cheaper alternative isn't available?
We've been committed to keeping it out there in all of our formats of stores, whether it's the smallest supermarket that we do or the biggest supercentre, to open the range out to as many customers at all times. There is some availability challenges that we've seen within the respective market, but we're doing everything we can to fulfil that customer demand.
That job for supermarkets to keep up with demand is more important than ever. They say they want to maximise choices for customers with cheaper options. But many families say food inflation right now means those choices have become forced and far fewer. Joe Caution, ITV News.